The Caribbean has been ignored for too many years, maybe too many decades, right? This is what we should consider the front yard of the United States. And we think of coming out of the Panama Canal, Jamaica, Barbados, Bahamas, Guyana. These are growth stories, and they're being overlooked. And the Caribbean is the next investment frontier.
That was David Mullings, the chairman and CEO of Blue Maho Capital. His investment firm, it focuses on the Caribbean, and as you may have been able to tell by his accent, he is Jamaican to the core. And he talked with me a lot about money not only flowing into the Jamaican markets by meaning expats, but also now a lot of foreign investors who are also looking for opportunities as well. I'm pleased to say joining us right now is someone who knows a lot about what's going on with the Jamaican economy and, of course, their stock exchange, because she's been managing director of that stock exchange for more than 20 years. Marlene Forrest joins us right now here in Studio 2 in New York. I want to start off with the evolution of the stock exchange. When you took over, we were talking maybe 20 listed stocks. You expanded that to more than 100. You took it from being just a main market to introducing bonds, introducing a U.S. dollar market as well. And, of course, overall, the number of subscribers or investors, or however you want to put it, that's grown exponentially.
That's correct.
Is that growth going to continue when you're gone?
Oh, absolutely. And the reason it will continue is that the pace has been set, the foundation is there, and the persons in Jamaica, they are really cued in to the stock market. And what we have done also is to educate the younger persons, so they will be coming into market, and that growth will continue. A
lot of the growth in the stock market itself, of course, was also tied to improvements in the economy. There were a lot of fiscal decisions that were made that really did pay off, and it put Jamaica in a better position economically than some of its Caribbean neighbors. What is the economy like now?
The economy is stable. We have a low inflation, we have low unemployment. So overall, the economy is stable.
I look at the performance of your benchmark index, and we just showed it, about up 1% in local currency terms over the past 12 months. If you look at this year, down about 3.08%, pretty much even with the S&P 500 in local currency terms. What kind of effect do you think the U.S. trade war is having on companies willing to come to market?
I believe that companies will still want to come to market. As a matter of fact, I think it is going to have the inverse effect, where companies will come because they will be seeking equity capital, patient capital, because they're of the uncertainties. And when there's uncertainty, you seek patient capital.
And the equity market is seen as patient capital?
Yes, the equity market is seen as patient capital because your shareholders are your owners. And because of that, you can determine whether you pay dividend, while on the other hand, if you were borrowing, you would have the banks coming to ask for their principal payment, their interest payment. So stock market is seen as patient capital.
I am curious, though, and we played a clip of David Mullings at Blue Maho a little bit earlier. I am curious as to, when we talk about the interest in the market, is it primarily Jamaicans who are currently living on the island, as well as Jamaicans that may be, say, in the U.S. or in Europe elsewhere? Or are you starting to see an inflow of capital from other sources, meaning people that weren't necessarily have any real affiliation with Jamaica or even the Caribbean?
Well, it's a mix. So for the stock market itself, the interest is primarily Jamaicans. And we want to grow that, so this is why we are also on roadshows. But we are seeing constant interest from other countries into Jamaica for the wider growth.
When we talk about sort of expanding that and this idea of sort of, you were talking about the role of the public equity markets.
Yes.
Are you seeing any sort of new activity in private markets on the island? Because that's become a big source of stable, slow, reliable returns as well.
And the activity with private capital has grown tremendously. So much so that our depository, and trustee services, which is linked to ensure that you have a safe structure, that also, that subsidiary has also grown because of private capital, yes.
Romaine did a wonderful job kind of encapsulating the growth that has happened over the past 20 years, development of the junior market, the US dollar denominated market, the bond market. Talk about the role of technology as a driver in that growth, and what kind of role you see AI playing in the further expansion of that growth.
So technology was central to the growth, because unless you have a stable trading and settlement platform, the confidence in the market is not there. So what we did is, over the period, we ensured that we grew out the technology. We also had to grow in respect to so many things that are happening, like cybersecurity. If you don't have technology, you are not going to be able to focus on that and to have a strong and robust system. Data protection, again, if you don't have technology. So we use that in terms of the infrastructure. But again, we also use that in terms of the growth of the exchange, because we had things like online trading coming into place. And what we found is that that captured the younger persons to the market. We also look at how do you increase confidence in the market. And from our subsidiary, we had the customer portal so that people could look at their securities, know what they have invested in, and again increase the confidence. Let us look now at market surveillance. Those things are critical to an exchange. And again, we put in market surveillance using technology to ensure that we are on top of the market and what is going on there. Again, AI, it is very important to our development. And as it is right now, we have just introduced the primary school game competition. And that is infused with AI to assist people, assist the younger ones in learning, in understanding the market.
I can definitely see this push towards really getting the younger generation involved in investing.
That is correct, yes.
Marlene, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Marlene Street Forrest is Managing Director of the Jamaica Stock Exchange. I think it's time for us to go on a field trip to Jamaica.
I think so, too. And it's kind of funny because I think the first time we spoke to her on air here in New York was after we did a big feature. One of our colleagues went down to Jamaica. That's when it was like the best performing stock market in the world for like 2 or 3 years running. And
surprising a lot of people.
Yeah, but he took a close look at the economy. He talked about, how they, restructured a lot of their debt, took some fiscal measures that really had a big
Tough
boost
medicine
to the economy, and it really sort of allowed it. So she actually did a great job and was instrumental in that as well. So.